we're going to talk about what has to be one of the most controversial subjects on social media whenever it comes to riding off pavement, whether it be an adventure bike down to a dirt bike. And the discussion we're going to have is going to be about tire pressure and whether or not to lower your pressure whenever you get to off pavement sections. And I really, real often, I see people saying, yes, you need to do it for the traction, my traction sucks, yada, yada. And I really lean the other direction. I think you should keep your tire pressure pretty much to the specs that are given. And in very, very few circumstances do I think you need to lower them. And I'm going to show you why. Years ago, when I first started off beginner off-roading, I was trying to listen, and honestly, I was listening to the wrong people. I was trying everything under the moon to make me be able to ride through a section of the trail smoother, faster, more traction. I kept blowing corners and doing all this, and I would lower pressure to try to get more traction, and I would change tires to try to get more traction. And had a really good friend of mine come up to me. He was a pro rider. And he followed me. He came back. We stopped, and he was laughing. He goes, dude, stop lowering your pressure. Put your tire pressure back up to 15 pounds in your dirt bike and learn to ride it. He said, your problem is the skill set. It is not the tires. And I will have to say that after this many years of riding, he's 100% right. With very few exceptions, if you're going and you're hitting nothing that is but a straight up sand section, okay. If you're riding in section, pure sand for miles, dude, I get it. I'd lower mine too. But 99% of the time I ride, and I would say the vast majority of people do not experience enough miles when they do their small adventures or their day rides. They're probably not, it's not going to be necessary. So he was 100% right when he told me to stop lowering the pressure. Now, there are also a couple of things that greatly will affect your traction, and there's two things. One is your rider experience is absolutely 100% the number one issue when you ride off-road. Number two issue is your bike setup. Proper suspension is way high on the list. If you get a bike and your sag is not set correct, your bike's not going to handle well. You're not going to get traction. I almost don't care what kind of tire you're going to throw on it. A very high skilled rider can compensate a lot more than a beginner. So if you're going to if you really want to get the best out of your bike, ride it more and make sure your bike is set up properly for the traction. If your sag is off, everything else doesn't matter, in my opinion. Now, whenever I show you on these examples that I'm going to give you, I'm going to hit a square-edged rock. It's a 3 3/4 inch rock. I'm going to hit it at 10 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour, and 20 miles an hour. And I'm going to be hitting it on my 300 rally. My son's going to be following me on the YZ250. This bike has 22 pounds of air pressure in it. I'm also going to show you a couple of clips where I lowered it down to 15. The YZ250 is running 15 pounds of air pressure in it. The bike is sprung and valved for off-roads wood racing, and so it doesn't have a real harsh suspension on it, so the suspension is able to absorb some of the impact. On this bike, I do have the Rally Raid suspension, you know, kind of along the same lines, I hear a lot of people say, oh, you know, it's you know, they can't hit their double or triple jumps with it. You know, it's too, dude, does this look like a race bike? No. If I want to go hit the woods hard, I jump on that. At the end of the video, I'm going to take my Rally here and I'm going to ride it actually like I don't intend on riding this bike this way all the time. This is my light adventure bike. I'm not typically going to be taking it and trying to rip on some hare scramble tracks with it. But I am going to go ahead and show you with 22 pounds of air pressure on the tires that you can be all right riding with 22 pounds of air pressure with, I've got the MT21 on the front and I've got the D606 on the back, and there's no need to lower the pressure in most circumstances. our practice hare scramble track hadn't been ran on much at all this year. It is fully leaf covered. It's got rocks, hidden rocks all underneath it. It's pretty tight. It's not straight. You'll see that in the video. It's pretty darn tight track. And you'll see that I really don't have to back off too much even on this thing. Yes, I would be much faster on that. But you'll see that I don't think that, I absolutely know that there's no way I would attack that same trail with this bike at 15 pounds of air pressure the way I show you at 22, because frankly, I would probably be changing a pinch flat up on top of the hill. I don't think you need to lower your pressures. It comes more down to riding, learning how to ride, riding within your ability, and just I think a lot of people get out and they don't ride with the right people. They'll get with a group of adventure riders, especially if they bought a bike like this and it's their first bike, and they get with a group of guys that aren't willing to slow down and ride with them. I love riding with new guys. Because I can rip it on a hare scramble track, or I've actually gotten to where I think I enjoy more going slow and looking at the trees and squirrels and whatever else happens to see a waterfall. That's the route I'm going now when I get on this thing. And I think a lot of guys just get out there and they try to push too hard too fast, and that is also how you learn. But don't try to compensate it with air pressure, or you'll be getting flats, and I'll show you why.
Now it's time to take some motorcycles and hit a square edge rock with it and at least see what kind of deflection we can get in the tires. This test is at 10 miles per hour. Both riders are seated. I did that on purpose because I wanted to go ahead and get a full impact on that square edge rock, because we can run into that from time to time. It's not unusual to have some surprise rocks out there when you're in an already seated position, or if you have multiple rocks in the row. It is still hard to keep it light even if you're standing. You can see here how much the 22 psi rock is actually still in wrapping around that rock some. You are actually getting some grip on that rock even at 22 psi. The 15 psi on the 300 is not quite rimming, but getting really close at 10 miles per hour, and it's just pretty close actually to the 15 psi on the YZ. This 15 mile per hour test is actually pretty crazy. You can look at the distance that the tire spins in the air, and also the amount of compression that the rock puts onto the tires. The 5 mile per hour difference is a very significant amount of change in the amount of pressure that's put within the tires. Look at the three photos. The 22 psi is still not quite rimming at 15 miles per hour. The 15 psi on the 300 definitely rimmed. I felt it, and my son said he did not feel the 15 psi rim on the YZ, but it's getting very close to it. On the 20 mile per hour test, I went ahead and had Zach go ahead and stand, and once we get to the impact of the front tire, I'm going to pause it for just a second so you can actually see how much impact that rock puts on the tire, and then look at how far it actually goes in the air after the impact. It's pretty cool. The back tire impacts it pretty hard as well. I'll pause it there for a second. Now on the rally, I went ahead and set the bike up to where I hit just before hitting the rock. I preloaded the forks. I pulled up. I went full throttle to lighten up the front end as much as possible. You'll see the difference in the reaction by actually using a lot of body English and throttle to help lessen the impact on the rock at 20 miles per hour. There I am, front tires leaving the ground. touching the rock. It's definitely obvious with these two photos that by standing and also using body English and throttle control, you can take quite a bit of the pressure off your tires. The challenge is whenever you start getting several in a row of trying to maintain that without losing control or rimming, of course. Here's a set of rear wheel impact pictures from the rally, and to give you a pretty good indicator of the difference in the way the tire manipulates around the rock at different speeds. These are all 15 psi impacts where we actually kind of did the little bit of an indirect hit on the rocks whenever I was doing the filming. You could definitely feel it rim on the both bikes whenever this happened. Now that you've seen some pictures of what your tires look like getting impacted at 15 psi, let's take a look and see if you can actually trail ride one of these motorcycles with 22 psi.
A lot of people just think you have to air down to be anything off pavement, and I really don't think so. As a matter of fact, I think you risk your bike and tubes and everything else for the amount of traffic you get is going to be pretty minimal. So we'll see how it does with 22 psi. There it is. Right here, you would never make it up in a two-wheel drive truck. Here we go. Not a very groomed trail right now. I'll make sure I don't miss my turn here. There's a barbed wire fence up here. If I miss it, I haven't ridden the trail much in a while. There's the fence. Well, this turn here, but we'll make it happen anyway. All right, we'll go back this way. Got full of rock, loose rock. You can see the leaves have not been beat out of this thing in a while. Oh, yeah. See if I can stay on it. There it is. Whew, almost missed it. Cross log. This is gnarly as hell. That's about a footer. Alright, let's get this bitch spun around. I need to dig my link trail back out and cross these logs. That was fun. Heavy bike like this, hard to get the front light enough in that position. Up to the top of the mountain, and we'll talk about this a little bit and get up my little baby head area here. Woo!
Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I sure would appreciate it. All these hills going up the road up to my campground are very steep. It's all the bike can do in second gear, wide open to pull them, and you really have to be wound pretty tight when you shift up to second, or you're not going to get it in second gear. As we're driving along here, I really hope that you can see where I'm coming from on keeping the tire pressures at the 22 psi, or whatever the recommended tire pressure is for your motorcycle. I mean, the Rally is a fairly heavy bike, and I personally believe 15 pounds, at least in rocky terrain, is definitely not enough air, and I think the videos can show if you hit some rocky patches why I believe that's true. Of course, if you're riding something like a Beta or a KTM that's pretty much a race bike with blinkers, the 350s, 500s, those things, you probably bring those down quite a bit and still have about the same safety margin as what I have at 22 psi on this Rally. But I've just seen a lot of people commenting on, especially on bikes like Rallies and DR650s and so forth, the bikes that are a little on the heavier side of the dual sport realm. Yeah.
Now usually, actually, I go down this pretty slow. So I need to save my road. This wash is real bad. It's just full of all this loose rock. It's gnarly at times. And it's just hard to keep it from washing out. Man, I like this little 300 Rally. Holy cow.
Your side of the dual sport realm, and I just think that you're asking for trouble at those low pressures. Now, if you're riding in, let's say, some of the areas in Florida that I've seen, is southern Georgia, some of those areas around there that I've found that are just real sandy, I mean, for miles, then sure, you're probably pretty safe to bring it down, and it will gain you a little bit of traction in those areas. But overall, I find it unnecessary to at least air this bike down. In very, very few circumstances would I even consider it. Time to get out and ride. Everybody have a good time.